Well, hello there, everybody. My name is Dee Dee Verg, and I'm your host on Let's Talk Hypnosis, brought to you by Hypnothoughts Live. And my very special guest today is Richard Barker. Welcome, Richard, to the show.
Thank you. Good to see you.
You too, you too. So let me tell you about Richard because he's very impressive, especially in the marketing department, which is what he's going to be talking with us about today. Richard Barker started his career in hypnosis as a member of United Kingdom's elite forces known as the Royal Green Jackets, a highly trained military organization. So as a specialized soldier, he was trained in Neuro-Linguistic Programming and thus began his journey into hypnosis, learning language, negotiation, and persuasion skills. Richard later expanded his hypnotic skills as a police detective, helping witnesses and criminals to recall forgotten information. Since then, Richard has become a world-renowned professional hypnotist, comedy stage hypnotist, television personality, author, and keynote speaker. He spent the last 20 years entertaining audiences all over the world in over 38 countries. As the Incredible Hypnotist, Richard brings his charm and experience and blows the mind of audiences, celebrities, and corporate clients. Offstage, however, Richard has also helped to improve the lives of countless clients that needed hypnosis to get over any limiting behaviors, phobias, or obstacles. Using his master's degree in education, he is constantly helping others understand the true power of hypnosis. So, Richard, you're here today, as I mentioned, to talk to us about marketing, because you're someone who's clearly done it, along with your amazing skill set, of course. But in particular, we're going to be talking about something called influencer marketing. So tell us first, how did you become a celebrity hypnotist?
Basically, I always knew that publicity was one of the easiest and fastest ways to build up my career and my brand. So I studied how to sort of reach out to the media, reach out to a larger audience than the one I currently had. So I guess, the journey of sort of influencer marketing came from understanding the power of numbers and leverage. I mean, I understood that rather than marketing to a small amount of people, you can actually market to a lot of people and build a business quicker through leveraging larger channels such as, online and obviously, media, television to build the brand. So I kind of studied it, learned it, and then sort of weaved it into my my brand. Around about 2010 is when I started.
Okay, so 8 years, not bad, because you're, as far as I know, one of the most recognized hypnotists in the entire of North America. So What is influencer or media marketing?
So influencer and media marketing is a way to gain instant credibility in the eyes of people that actually don't know much or anything about hypnosis. It's actually being able to sort of establish yourself as a sort of respected authority by hitting large channels. So as an example, if somebody is writing a blog that's read by a couple of million people to do with tinnitus, then I would be the person speaking about hypnosis and how hypnosis can help with tinnitus. Right. So they would get in like different experts, people talking about acupuncture, people talking about medical intervention to prevent tinnitus, and they never really want to interview hypnotists. So if you take that example, you and I know that hypnosis is an effective way to remove and reduce tinnitus through like eliminating stress and anxiety. But they don't know that. So what I learned was if I can get in front of these large blogs or large channels where people have huge followings, I can now start to talk about hypnosis, and then other people see the articles and then they want me to give them the sort of hypnosis response to PTSD or trauma or different issues, piggybacking off the articles I've already done. So that's kind of how you build it up.
Okay, fantastic. So, as I understand, quite a few years ago, the Dudesons contacted you, and they teamed up with another really big influencer. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, the Dudesons at one time were the most viewed YouTubers in the history of YouTube. So they reached out to you. You did a show with them. We're going to include a clip and a link to the show afterwards because honestly, I thought that was one of the funniest things, Richard. I told you when I saw you, I just could not stop laughing. It was so hilarious. So share with us a little bit about what that amounted to, and how people can do this for themselves as well.
Yeah. So just to sort of explain, a lot of people watching this might not understand what goes into a viral video. They don't normally just happen by accident. Usually you've got people like the Dudesons, like you just said, they had the largest YouTube channel in the country at one point. Then it was Logan Paul, and everyone's probably heard of Logan Paul, and I went on his channel. Mm-hmm. And then there was a few other people. But what these guys and girls do, is they understand that the more eyeballs they get on their videos, the higher the viewership, the more they make money with sponsors and sponsorship, because more people are watching their channel, especially millennials and people in their 20s and early 30s. They're watching their channels more than they're watching television. Right. They're in their Instagram feeds and YouTube more than they are actually watching traditional television as we know it to be. So I was approached by them to do something hypnosis related, because they're always looking for more content, and at the time, and still, I'm always looking for more outreach. I'm looking for wide and diverse audiences, and these guys need content that's different. So they contacted me to hypnotize them. So I flew to LA, and it was only then that I realized that these YouTubers now, these pranksters, they're doing this like goofy stuff, like jumping up and down on trampolines with thumbtacks and smashing their heads on watermelons and all this stuff. And it might sound stupid and ridiculous, and how can you get more potential clients from this? But let me explain. So I went there, and then I realized it's a business. These guys are in business. They have some of the best cameras, the best AV, everything's storyboarded, everything's scripted to a sense. They have a manager, they have a sponsorship manager, they have all these different sort of people involved in Hollywood. So I go there, I'm like, wow, this is like, they're doing a 6-camera shoot.
Oh, wow.
These different angles. So I get there, do my thing, and all of a sudden my channel exploded as a result. So you might wonder what you get out of that. Well, you get your face in front of all kinds of people that you weren't in front of beforehand. So I had them doing crazy stuff, like as the video will show you, and we'll obviously show the tape, a bit of the tape, getting them to do all crazy things. And then I always make the parallel back to, it's tough in this world these days, and millennials are struggling just the same as everybody else, and bullying is an issue in schools, and obviously with the shootings in America and all this other stuff. And I make this parallel to anxiety and feeling worried and troubled and stressed, and how hypnosis can help, just like the old days where the old stage act would go to the fairgrounds back in the old days. They would demonstrate hypnosis, but then really what they're doing is they're wanting to push Coca-Cola or some therapeutical benefits. The same thing. So what happened from that was I ended up getting a lot of people contacting me because they were struggling with school or exams or anxiety. So not only did I build my Instagram, my YouTube, and my Twitter accounts as a result of being on this, but of course I'm shaking the tree and getting more clients.
Right.
Also, in the eyes of the people watching these massive channels like Logan Paul, you can actually increase your rates, because now you're considered to be the respected authority on hypnosis. You become the go-to person, because if they were to think about, who could they go to as a hypnotist, they wouldn't be able to think of anybody other than me, because they've just seen videos. So I'm the front center of their minds. And then when it came to, graduation parties, because the Dudesons and Logan Paul, the average age of their audience is like 16 and under. Well, they're all going to go through school and graduate. They're all going to want a funny stage hypnosis show. So it helped build the stage career as well as the hypnotherapy career.
And it also turned you yourself into an influencer. So explain about that a little bit for our audience.
Yeah, so what happens is, with social influencers, and again, the benefits of being a social influencer are, you get sponsorships. People pick you up and want to have you use their products. I get sent stuff all the time, and people want me to do a review on it or have an experience of it. So that's one side of it, is that you end up becoming sort of a social influencer because your channels now become bigger, more people watch your channel, sponsors reach out to you, and so does television. So it's kind of like that step. So what happens is people score you based upon your outreach. And your outreach includes, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, your Facebook fan page, not your personal page, but your fan page. What happens is you get a social influencer score, and there's various different sort of companies and websites that do this. There's a couple of benchmarking sites, and they give you an outreach score. So one of the websites is called FameBit. Okay. FameBit is giving you an online score for fame, for your sort of influencer skills. And depending on what score you get would depend on the level of influence you have on a particular niche. So if you take hypnosis, there really isn't anybody pushing that niche forward in a influencer sense.
Right. So you must be one of the top in terms of an influencer in hypnosis, or the top, like.
Yeah, there's a couple of people out there, and I won't name names just because I haven't spoken to them directly. But there are a couple of other influencers out there that get it. One of them, we might, Steve G. Jones is big in the hypnosis influencer world, and I know he won't mind me saying that, but he has a big outreach, and he spent years perfecting his channels, and as a result, when he pulls the trigger on a download, he can get 100,000 people buying his downloads in like less than an hour or 2 hours. I've seen him do it. It's the real deal. Right. And of course, he can make a lot of money. So if you think about it, why would I want to learn about influencer marketing? Well, if you have a massive channel and different outlets, and you're reaching different people through collaboration, and you have a new MP3 or an ebook, and the MP3 or ebook is called Reducing Stage Fright, or improving your ability to speak in public, and you launch that, you can now launch that to all your channels, and instead of only selling a couple of hundred downloads, let's say on Amazon or your own personal website, you're now selling hundreds of thousands of them because you have a massive channel. Right. What I've learned in influencer marketing in particular, when people become loyal to you online because they've got that like, no, trust factor, they will like you they will follow you religiously, and if you come out with a $7 ebook, they're going to buy it. Right. You're building your brand and loyalty online, and so it works well. If you're launching a product or a service, you're going to sell a lot more of them than if you did not have a social outreach, an influencer outreach.
Yeah, which is what we all want. We want passive income coming in while we're sleeping. So also another influencer, and you can tell us how this happened, was Vern Troyer, otherwise known as Mini-Me. May he rest in peace. Shortly after the Dudesons, how did that happen for you?
So what happens is everything snowballs, and that's the same with television. And I know we're going to talk about TV in a minute, but everything snowballs. So you go on a couple of influencer channels that only have, 20, 30,000 subscribers. Then you go to the next level because you can prove that you did that, and they want to know that you're camera friendly, that what you say you're going to do, you actually do. You're going to turn up on time and everything else, and that their clip on a previous channel hit the million mark, or went through 1 million views and up, and then you can go to the next channel. So with Vern Troyer, his people reached out, and again, he had a business, right? And they reached out and said, Vern would like to do something hypnotic related. Can you go to LA? Can you hypnotize him, do some fun stuff for his viewers? So I said, sure. So, and then people watching Vern Troyer was the Late Late Show with James Corden. Their people were watching his channel. So, of course, my advice would be is if you get an opportunity to go a lot of these different YouTube channels, you should really go on them and build your brand that way, because people are like producers of television shows are watching certain channels on YouTube to see who's the influencer, and they might be thinking about doing something hypnosis related, and if you're on the right channel at the right time, then you're going to get the offer.
You're going to get picked up.
So going to Vern was really, really cool because he didn't actually believe in hypnosis, and when I got there, he said, well, do you want me just to act and fake it? Because that's what a lot of them will say, just for the camera, do you want me to fake it? So we can get the footage. And I said, Vern, if you don't go under, if you're not hypnotized, we don't have a segment. So I want you to, for your viewers, if you don't get hypnotized, we can still have a segment on YouTube about you did not get hypnotized. It's not like negative. It just, you never became hypnotized for whatever reason, and we can talk about that. Well, it turns out he went under, and he was a great subject. I hate to use the word going under, but he became hypnotized and became a great subject. And that went in front of millions and millions of people. In fact, it got picked up by USA Today. It got picked up by US Weekly. It went in all these magazines, which got my foot in the door for women's health, men's fitness. I went on Marie Claire magazine, Glamour magazine, as a result of Vern Troyer. Right. So, of course, it snowballed. He did become hypnotized. And what was funny was, I don't know too much about American football, but Michigan Wolverines is a huge rival with Ohio State University. And he had a Michigan shirt on, and I changed him into an Ohio fan.
I remember that. Yeah.
To millions of people that, hey, I don't know what happened, but
Sports Illustrated involved in that as well?
They picked it up, yeah. Sports Illustrated did an article on it.
Right. And because you got him to switch being fan. Oh, that was really funny.
You see, and when this is all rolling, it's all live. There isn't much of a sort of script. You got to bend with it. It just so happens he's wearing that shirt, and I'm like, man, that would be funny.
Right.
That would be real, and that would be a real demonstration of the power of hypnosis and influence. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I'm going to actually do very well out of this. I already knew that because the offshot of that is there's all kinds of celebrities looking at Vern Troyer, and he's probably a B-lister. And other B-listers are going to watch, and maybe a few A-listers. And I ended up getting a deal with Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas as a result of Vern Troyer. Wow. So now I'm thinking leverage, and now, so hypnosis fees, I'm not sure what the fee is around the country, but mine went from like pretty low because it wasn't my main, business model to be a consulting one-on-one hypnotist to charging really pretty crazy money. Yeah. The reason I was, really improved my rates to such a level that it's ridiculous, really. But I'm, charging.
Yeah, you've told me what they are. And if people want to ask you in person at Hypnothoughts, it's really staggering. That's all. It's like staggering. Like I have to do 10, 15 clients to get what you get in one session. So. And
you know what I learned from that? When I went to Hollywood and started hypnotizing celebrities for anxiety, people that can't remember their lines, and all this, all just came from influencer marketing, right? So now I'm charging, as much as I feel necessary to be in the running, and the reason, the way I set my rates was, here's somebody living in Beverly Hills. They're going to their chiropractor, and they're probably dropping $2,000 a session, right? And they're going to their dentist just to get teeth whitening, and instead of it paying $200 for teeth whitening, which is common, they're probably paying at least $1,000 for teeth whitening.
Right.
So you can't come in as a hypnotist just charging like $400 or $500
They'll laugh at you. They won't see the value in it, and as a result, you won't be as successful. They have to think you are the best. Like anything, so much with hypnosis is prestige also. So.
Yeah. So with influencer marketing, you're leveraging that newfound sort of celebrity status, even though you're really not. Depending on what you define as celebrity, a household name. But what you're doing is you've been identified as an influencer, and you're aligning yourself with people that are checking who are the best in a certain niche. Well, I'm not the best hypnotist out there, of course. There are hidden hypnotists everywhere that haven't had any media to leverage their brand. And then there's people like me that I think I'm a good hypnotist. I wouldn't say I'm the best. I'm just a good hypnotist, all-round good hypnotist. But I'm the one that they keep seeing. So because they see me more than somebody else that's probably technically more skilled, I'm the person that's going to get the opportunities and the work, because I was the one that pitched to the media and social media channels and everything else. So what I'm saying is, if you're watching this and you're a decent hypnotist and you're a very good hypnotherapist or stage hypnotist, and you haven't shaken the tree and leveraged, influencing opportunities and strategies for improving your brand and building your social network channels, then that's actually what I'm going to be teaching, is the roadmap of press releases, how to leverage a press release. Because, when I went on the Today Show, in like 2013, I think it was, and I had no idea what I was getting into. I seriously didn't. I'd done a couple of YouTube channels, and now here I am. Toby Keith, I think it was in the green room with me. No, not Toby Keith. It was one of these country stars, Alan Jackson and Toby Keith. And I recognized him from TV. Right. And here I am sitting in the green room with this guy, and he's surrounded by his entourage. And with me, it was just me and my PR friend at the time.
Right.
And he looks at me and he goes, "Is that stuff real or is it fake?" I just said to him, "I'll let you be the judge of it afterwards, because I'm on before you, and then I'm going to go to Rockefeller Plaza and I'm going to watch you perform, and then come back and tell me what you think." So I had my segment, and anyways, afterwards they pay you, for these performances. So we're getting paid and all this, and he looks over to me and he goes, "Holy shit!" He goes, "That hypnosis stuff is really powerful." And I got a contact with him to do some further follow up. It didn't pan out in the end, but what I like about the television and doing the media, there's so many people that think that what we do isn't real. And it's so high. People think that hypnosis is fake and not a valid option for for treating.
It seems too good to be true. That's the thing. It's like with the answer. So when you went on Good Morning America, was that the bird phobia, or which one was that?
So on the Today Show, it was hypnotizing Al Roker, Natalie Morales, Ellie Kemper, just for comedy.
Okay.
But what I learned from that was I wasn't ready for the onslaught of people contacting me. I really wasn't aware of it. I mean, it's watched by, 100 so million people. They'll show it on a rerun. It lives online permanently. And I go on there and my phone is blown up after, right? I get my phone back out of the Ziploc bag that they put it in, and my phone's blown up. Yeah. And mainly it's GoDaddy telling me, "What the hell's going on here? Your website's crashed." And everything's crashed. My toll-free crashed. My website crashed. My Gmail, all of a sudden, we're treating stuff as spam because I was getting too much stuff coming in. And I was like, man, this is crazy. And then later on down the line, I go on Good Day LA, to hypnotize, to remove live the fear of birds. Right. And I go on a channel in Tampa for the fear of removing the fear of spiders. So I did a couple of live phobias, removing the fear of snakes. That one was on Good Morning America. And now I had myself sorted out. I had my website on the highest bandwidth possible. I had people answering my phones, so I now had a company answering all my phones. And all I was doing, Dee Dee, to be honest, was this is how I created my New York City office. Right. Because they wanted to either go to New York City or California. So I'm thinking to myself, who doesn't like money, right? So I'm thinking, well, I can charge a pretty decent rate here, and I can see 6 or 8 people a day and spend a week in New York.
So you built up an instant clientele in New York and in Manhattan, actually.
Manhattan. So like one week of hypnosis was for one 20-minute television appearance. So really that's what it is. One 20-minute television appearance gave me 2 weeks worth of clients in New York and 2 weeks worth of clients in LA, charging a ridiculous amount of money per client. And here's the other thing interesting, because I was as seen on TV, whatever fear and phobia they were coming in to see me for was actually removed. It was, the mind had already believed it to be the case.
Made your job a lot easier.
Really easy. So the Stop Smokers was very straightforward, because, and I didn't really do any weight loss because I know that's more involved and takes more sort of sessions now. But the quick hitters, removing phobias, stop smoking, removing anxiety, I could back them up, so 4 weeks worth of clients at a, pretty high fee for 20 minutes is to me, that's a significant income if you can land yourself on some of these bigger, TV shows. But you've got to work your way up. They're not just going to put you on there. They're going to check your influencer reach. Yeah. And I'll tell you a quick story that's kind of funny is I'm sitting backstage at the Late Late Show with James Corden, and they were just about to cancel me because they looked at my social outreach and saw that it wasn't very big. But they were looking at a different Richard Barker. I have two Facebook. I learned a lesson here. I have 2 Facebook fan pages. One I was growing, called Richard Barker, Incredible Hypnotist, and the other one was just called, I think, Incredible Hypnotist. And they actually were looking at the wrong channels, and they were like, "Oh, we ain't going to be able to put you on because you've only got, 600 Twitter followers." It was, 600 people following you on Facebook, for instance. And I'm like, no, that can't be right. I said, I've got 22,000 on Twitter and 70,000 on Facebook, and they were looking at the wrong channel, but they were going to can me. So the lesson is they are looking at your social influencer reach.
Yeah. I have a
your
friend.
influence and reach.
I have a friend who works for a modeling agency, and they're not even. The first thing they check is how many followers you have before they even hire you for a gig anymore. So what that means as a model, you have to have already built that up prior to anything, before anybody's ever going to look at you, as your online presence.
And as a hypnotist, you know what I've learned going to Hypnothoughts. I've been a Hypnothought since it started, to the very first one, and we only had about 300 or 400 hypnotists, I believe, on year one. And having been there every year, what I've learned is a lot of hypnotists don't understand how social media influencing actually helps their brand. I don't think they quite understand it yet. You know, some do.
The power of it.
Some just want to do Facebook Live every day and think that's going to build a brand. It's not. You've got to actually have this strategy, and you've got to have this outreach. That's the best way to describe it. You've got to be reaching out externally, not necessarily internally. And speaking to a lot of hypnotists, I don't think they understand that this is pouring gasoline on the fire of your business. I mean, you know, success loves speed. And if you want to speed up your brand and your business, influencer marketing, there's no better way of doing it. Because now, if you've built, let's say you've built your blog or your YouTube channel or your Twitter, or you're happy seeing 3 clients a week, but you want more, rather than go to Groupon or you know, rather than try and sort of build your hypnotherapy practice up in the traditional way and then get frustrated,
or pay like very expensive Google ads is
really ridiculously expensive. When in fact Facebook ads is way more effective.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand the influencer marketing, how it can really accelerate your brand, and how Facebook. I speak to people all the time with Facebook ads, for instance, and a lot of people, what they say is, I tried that and I got no results. Or I spent $20 and I got plenty of people looking at it on the ad, but nobody clicking on it.
Yeah, it's got to be consistent over time as well.
It's over time, and they reward you longevity and split testing things and trying different things. You know, it's not just a one-hit fix. But if you get it right and you start appearing on people's channels, that because if they've already built the platform, you've just got to find it and be invited onto the platform. So if you've only got 500 subscribers to YouTube and you're starting to push your YouTube videos out there for hypnosis, well, if you want to get 10,000 subscribers, you can do it the hard way, of course, which is, hey, subscribe to my channel.
Like me. Will you like my page? Yeah.
I'm begging, or you can do the fast way, which is go on somebody else's channel that already has 1 million subscribers and do that collaboration video with them. And then afterwards, at the end, whoever you're working with, who has the millions of visitors, the millions of traffic, they will say, hey, go to Dee Dee's channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and see more of Dee Dee's, videos in the future. And all of a sudden, you've now gone to be a social influencer on YouTube, on your channel, and you've become the authority talking about the hypnosis-related subject that you are talking about. So all of a sudden, people start following you. Now, when you host a workshop for hypnosis or stop smoking or weight loss, instead of trying to drag people in the door, now all of a sudden you've got 600-800 people showing up at your workshops.
That's right.
So it's the numbers game. It's leveraging the power of numbers.
Absolutely. So what can we expect from your workshop this year at Hypnothoughts?
So basically, what I've put together is a 2-day post-convention workshop. It's all about how to create your brand and your buzz, so how to create that momentum. Because I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't really specialize. I'm not, into this really fun stuff like spoon bending or comedy hypnosis. Or what I do is I help people change, their habits and behaviors. So, but you can still create that really sizzling buzz about yourself by being presentable as an influencer. And then by producing press releases. I send out roughly 2 to 4 press releases a month, and that's actually quite low. So I'm going to teach people how to do press releases and keep them consistent, and how to do them automatically so that you don't have to write your own press release.
Right.
And you send them out consistently. But what you can do with your press release, for example, is target certain people in certain demographics. Okay. So if you're focusing on Minnesota, how to actually hit every reporter in Minnesota, instead of just sending it out there random, you can actually specifically, if you're talking about sports performance, hypnosis for sports performance, you want to hit those people that just write about sports and sports performance. It stands to reason. Yeah. So the press releases are a big leverage and a big step into the next step, which is then getting on your blogs, your podcasts, getting invited on YouTube channels, what to do when you're on the channels, doing the local TV, local radio. Because some of those local television channels, the footage is awesome. You want that footage, and you want the experience, of being in the studio.
Yeah, because you had to do your phobias live. Like, imagine doing a phobia live, and you had an hour to prepare for the entire thing.
Oh, it's not even that.
Oh,
I mean, when I turned up at Good Day LA, and they had a big raven backstage, I literally didn't know what it was, and I'm like, "What's that?" And the guy from San Diego Zoo, or wherever he'd come from, he's like, "That's our largest raven." I'm like, "That thing is huge. That looks like a horse in the that bird is ginormous." And he's like, "Yeah, after your segment, we're going to put it on her arm." I was like, "Oh no!" And then and in another case, they had, of course, a big parrot. So now I'm thinking, all right, this is live television.
Yep, you've got to know your stuff. You've got to be prepared. And you said you did a lot of research. You actually, in terms of bird phobias, you went on there very prepared, and that's important to mention. Richard didn't get to where he is by just winging it at the last minute. You tell them what you did to prepare for that.
Yeah, lots of preparation. I reached out to a lot of people. So some people actually listening to this, I might have contacted them and asked them their spin on how to do this, because now I've only got 10, 20 minutes,
Right.
So, and I recently went on the doctors, removing the fear of butterflies, which was a good segment for hypnosis worldwide, because the doctors were really against putting hypnotists on their show. They had a hypnotist on there, 5 or 6 years ago, that apparently, I don't know what happened, but they weren't jumping at the bit to have another hypnotist on, but they got me on. But I'd done my homework, I'd researched the news anchors, the presenters, the reporters, the backstage people. I mean, you've really got to know what you're doing. And then when you get there, because TV doesn't care, they don't know about hypnosis, they don't know what you have to do. There is no quiet environment. I mean, you are mic'd up, and the person you might be hypnotizing, with the fear of birds, she had an earpiece in her ear and she wouldn't take it out.
Oh,
I'm like, you got all those little voices in that earpiece have to come out. I mean, I need to speak to you directly. So the producer was like, "Well, how do we speak to her?" I said, "Well, you don't. I mean, you got to trust me on this, that you can't." So all this stuff, this feedback, there's people running around with jibs and clapperboards, and So what I learned was is backstage, prior to the live segment, you've got to be sneaky. You've got to sneak in your pre-talks. You've got to start your hypnosis rolling.
Right.
You've got to set up the mind, for success. All the things we do before our client comes in, and that process of before you do any trance or any work, you're already setting them up. So with her, I'd already set her up, but she was saying to me, "I don't want to be hypnotized. I don't want to do this." I'm like, "This is not going well."
Oh, wow.
She goes, "I can't be hypnotized. I have ADHD," and which they say a lot, right?
Yeah.
As we experience. So I just say, so one of the lines with her was, "Well, I'm just not going to hypnotize you. I'm just going to have a conversation about your erratic and irrational fear of birds. And today I'm just going to liberate you from that fear. That's all we're going to do. There is not going to be any hypnosis. Just close your eyes. Just relax. Just go in that way." But yeah, you have to.
I can't imagine how stressful that could be.
It's stressful.
But it forces you to perform at your best. That's for sure.
So here's the thing: is do the small TV, local TV first, because you're going to build your local following. You're going to get more people through the door. You're definitely going to. If you've got a local hypnotherapy practice in your city or your town, by appearing on the local news channel and hypnotizing the news anchor live, you've just built your business way up. All of a sudden, you are really at the top of your game in your given city, because you're as seen on TV. But do those local ones first, because what I learned was, because I was stressed and nervous, it was hard to smile. Because you're like, but you've got to be smiling, and sort of your appearance on TV has to be camera ready.
Yeah.
Even though you're going through this nervousness, you've got to be camera ready. But the trick is not to look right at the camera. You've got to pretend it's not there, so that you're not looking creepy and looking right into the camera. So there's all this stuff you can learn locally before you start to build to the next levels. I definitely advise how to write a book, and I teach how to write and publish a book in 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be part of the influencer marketing class. How to find the influencers, so how to find these people,
Mm-hmm.
and how to get in front by using technology, how to get in front of the decision makers that are the gatekeepers to getting you on these shows or not. You see, there are tricks and certain things you can do and use. Otherwise, if you just outreach to them, they're just going to go, nope.
Yeah, well, they have hundreds of people trying to get on their show every day, so they've got to have some sort of sorting mechanism.
They have to, yeah. So there's a way of doing it, and it's called the media template, and there's another one called the boilerplate, and it is a succinct, quick way of reaching out on multiple levels, so multiple contacts of the same person,
right,
with a notation on it, basically saying, I'm not here to waste your time. This is what I can offer your viewership. You've already done the homework on the demographics, the ages, so you know their audience. So if it's News Channel 13, you know their audience and the cities that they broadcast to. You know their sponsors, and therefore you know their language.
Right.
And you come in and say, I've got something exciting to offer your viewers that they've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I will say is you've got to choose your sort of channels, because if you go on an NBC channel, they're not going to let you on an ABC channel because they're generally speaking competing.
Yeah. Right.
So you have to offer them something different.
Right.
So I teach all that. I'm going to be teaching all that, and I'll probably only ever do this workshop once, maybe twice. I'm not going to repeat it because I honestly don't want too many people out there. I want to further my outreach too. So so the students or our friends that come on this, I will tell you the bragging rights of having all these logos, of being on the Today Show, Entertainment Tonight, Glamour Magazine, all this is legit. Some people post these logos on CBS, ABC, Fox on their websites, but they haven't actually been on them, right?
Oh, you're kidding me. Yeah, I always wonder about that.
They haven't been on them. So
I do.
What's interesting is I spoke to a media guy about this, and I said, look, how do you decide? And it was the Late Late Show. How do you decide? When you see all these logos on somebody's website that says, I've been on Fox, NBC, they will only consider someone that they need to be able to click on it and it links.
Right. They want to check you out. They want to make sure you're legit because so many people do that. Yeah. And as one word of advice that I would give anybody, whether you come on the workshop or not, is if your website is dd.com, you definitely need a /media. And even if you haven't got any media yet, you need to have a media page built just so that Google can start indexing it, and so that it starts to rank. And then on that page, if you've done like a podcast with somebody else, even if it's me or it could be somebody, Scott Sandland or someone, then you have a little graphic that says podcast with HT Live 2018 Scott Sandland, because it's all media. So the way the media looks at it is, all right, there's a camera ready person. There's somebody on a podcast. There's somebody that wrote an ebook. There's somebody that has 4 press releases that got picked up by 500 news outlets. Do you know what I mean? You're building your media channel. And then some of the smaller ones, like if you're just on a small podcast with somebody that doesn't have like an abundance of viewers, then as you start growing your media, you can just remove them, replace them with the bigger channels. And that's the way to do it. But you need to start a media page if you haven't got one. Because even if you're on an online blog called Freedom Thinkers or Holistic Healing or whatever it is, that needs to be a thumbnail that needs to be consistently the same. And if you need to look at what one looks like, I developed my media page at incrediblehypnotist.com /media, and you'll see all these placeholders. So when they do look, they want to edify you. So they want to know that you're camera ready, you know what you're talking about, you're an authority in your niche, you have the like, know, and trust factor, you have as you said, you have a following, just like the model. Right.
And if they go to that page, they're able to very quickly go, oh yeah, this is a person we would like to have on our lunchtime Good Morning Toronto show, and we would like to have this person on talking about hypnosis. And because they've seen your media, they're not going to go through your website. It's too confusing. They're not going to go and look at all these different...
Yeah, they don't have time.
They want
someone who knows what they're doing, who's done this before. So you're prepping everybody so that when they do, other people, media is checking them out, they're ready to go.
Yeah, and you got to speak their language. You know, it's interesting because most reporters will complain that people don't speak their language. So when you outreach to a reporter, if you get a list of reporters, the biggest way to get a list of reporters in your area is to go on Twitter. Because on Twitter, somebody else has already done lists of every single reporter in your city or your town, and all you do is you opt into their list. You're not going to get anything in return, no emails, nothing like that, but you can opt in, and now you have a list of every single body's Twitter handle that is a reporter in Toronto. Now you have this list. I've got thousands upon thousands of lists. I don't mind sharing the lists. I've got New York City journalists, every single New York City journalist on my Twitter list. What Twitter allows you to do is send a message out to all those reporters, 160 characters or less, or whatever Twitter gives you, to very quickly say, and you've got to be topical. So if you see something trending, like at the moment it's shootings in America or the royal wedding or something trending, you're able to shoot out a tweet and say, hey, here's how hypnosis can help with school trauma after a major incident. Tweet.
Yeah, because they're looking for people that they can bring on that's going to help alleviate this problem and make them look good.
That's exactly right. So you've got to go to Google Trending or BuzzFeed and start to look at what is socially trending and what's certainly topical. It will even tell you what's about to be topical and how can you put a hypnotic spin on there that's enough to have the hook. And the media is looking for the hook.
Right.
How to have the hook. Because if you have the right hook, you can now get on their channel. Why do you want to get on the channel? Because they've got millions of viewers. And all of a sudden, they're going to buy all your stuff. So when you wake up in the morning and look at your PayPal account, or look at your emails.
Passive income. Passive
income is the way to go. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I love trading my hour for $1-ish and being in this room talking to this person and helping them out.
Yes.
And I'd rather do it 1,000 times in 1 hour instead of one time in 1 hour.
Absolutely.
You do it 1,000 times in 1 hour, that's 1,000 times, almost the same income, if not more. Leverage it, double it again, and all of a sudden now you're making a healthy income. Now you can have a bigger office, a better vacation, more of a lifestyle, helping more people. Because that's the other thing, influencer and media marketing outreach is if you have a message, and I know some people, watching this, they have a really good, positive, hypnotic message. They focused in on, something like, trauma or anxiety or stress, or that's their real focus is on this hypnotic sort of message. Well, the only way to get that message out to the masses is by influencer media marketing. There is no other way.
Right.
And there are geniuses out there, as you know, at Hypnothoughts that have amazing talent, but their message is hidden, and it's a shame that their message is secret because they haven't got any media attention. Without media attention, the message hasn't escalated, So because of that, they don't have a larger outreach because they don't have the the action takers responding back to them. So
Okay, Richard, obviously very passionate about influencer marketing. So we will see you at Hypnothoughts Live, and Richard is gonna send me all the links. We're gonna post it on this video to see whatever it is that you want people to see, the Dudesons, Vern Troyer, all of that. So I will see you at Hypnothoughts Live, Richard, and thank you for sharing all this great information with us.
Yeah.
And be well.
If anybody has any questions, just reach out to me. I mean, I'm on all the social media channels. If you have any questions, one of the things is, just finally, I want to make sure the workshop is right for you, because if it isn't, there's so many other alternatively excellent workshops out there. There's really, really good pre and post workshops this year. So if you're thinking about coming on the influencer media marketing one, I want to make sure it's the right fit for you.
Absolutely, and that you're going to follow up with what you learn so that you're equally as successful.
You will be successful if you come on it, there's no doubt, because I do keep a track and help people afterwards as well. So
you're very good that way.
So just reach out, exactly.
Okay,
so
wonderful. All right, I will see you at Hypnothoughts Live.
Sounds good. Lovely talking to you.
You too. Bye-bye, Richard.
Take care. Bye.